free. Okay. Wong testified that it started out with $200 million. That was in 2020. By 2022, it got completely out of hand. They were millions of dollars into Alameda. And the reason is that the Alameda investors could pull their money at any time. They could just say, hey, I'm done. I want my money back. Thanks for investing. I see that you didn't lose any money. Oh, my word. The idea was that FTX customers wouldn't want their money back. They were having so much fun trading cryptocurrencies on the FTX exchange that they could just kind of play with that money. Well, you don't have to be a genius or a fake genius or FBI or a U.S. attorney or even anyone older than 12 years old to know that if you take the money that belongs in this basket because you don't think the owner of that basket is going to come looking for their money very soon, and you put the money over in this basket to plug a hole or cover some losses, that you're going to end up in a bad spot eventually. I mean, the music always stops. That is the nature of these sorts of schemes. The music cannot go on forever. They took so much money out of the customer basket. At one point, late in the game, other people knew inside of FTX that this was happening and inside of Alameda. And they confronted SBF about it. And what he said was that they would just raise more money. Now, if you've ever started a business, you know that you need money for a small collection of things when you're running a business. Operating capital, right, if you're not yet profitable. Marketing, which is really a type of operating capital. But let's say you're going to do a big campaign to bring in new business. You might want an injection of marketing money. Capital expenditures. Let's say you have to buy some equipment or you have to buy some land or something. That's a reason to raise money. Replacing money that you stole from customers, not on the list. And according to Wong, this is exactly what the plan was. Like, there really was no, magic formula. And what's so maddening about this is, literally while this is happening, Bankman-Fried is on the cover of Fortune magazine with this question, is he the next Warren Buffett? Oh, my word. It's so bad. But that's not as bad as it gets, because at one point when Alameda was into FTX's customers, not FTX's money, but FTX's customer money for $8 billion, Samuel Bankman-Fried tweeted, this is it right here. FTX has enough to cover all client holdings. That's a lie. He knew it was false at the time, according to Wong. I don't see how he couldn't have known it was false. And that tweet is one of the reasons why I have to say that what I said in my previous videos was wrong. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, but we've got to go through this testimony to actually understand the context for how badly I missed the mark. Bankman-Fried tweeted, FTX has enough to cover all client holdings, when there was internal dialogue in writing with the principal players in the business, making it crystal clear that he knew that that was not a true statement. I went after SBF in a video one time because it became clear that he was, while out on bond, using vanishing messaging platform system communications with potential witnesses. Now, if you watch that video, some of you were like, yeah, that's a bad move, can't do that. And then some of you were like, no, everybody uses vanishing messages like Signal or WhatsApp or whatever. And you guys kind of, I mean, like baby roasted me. Trust me, it didn't bother me, because if you run a business, you do not use vanishing messages in your business. There's many reasons for that, but sometimes it's just for the simple reason that if you tell someone to do something and they don't do it, and you later want to have a justifiable basis to fire them that's not like discrimination, you want to have a record of the things that you told them to do. In your personal life, use vanishing messages. Great, do it. I don't care what you're saying. But when you're running a business, you're supposed to generate records. And what's happened in this trial is that the prosecution has been able to use the fact that the messages were vanishing almost as like a gotcha on SBF. Like, kind of maybe worse than what the actual messages seem, because you know the phrase like the cover up is worse than the crime. Well, in this situation, it actually looks like the cover up is worse than the crime, although I don't know how it could be, but that's what it's looking like so far. Wong has been very bad to SBF, and I don't mean that he has not been fair. I mean, look, so let me reword it. He's been bad for SBF. Real bad. Let's move on to Caroline Ellison. Now, you know that Caroline Ellison was the CEO of Alameda Research eventually. Initially, SBF was the CEO of both of them. She didn't go to the prosecutors as fast as Wong did. I think he has longer legs than she does. But she got there in pretty short order. And she took the stand last week, and that didn't go well for SBF either. And as just a sidebar here, I just want to say his defense team has not done a great job with the first witnesses from the prosecution. According to every account, they really haven't beaten them up. They have not, like, gotten after them. So, anyway, Caroline Ellison was on the stand for a couple days, maybe longer, and she recounted some stories of meetings inside of FTX, which are very, very bad for Samuel Bankman-Fried, because those meetings were recorded by an employee named Drappy. I hope I'm saying that right. Drappy is standing in a circle in Hong Kong next to Caroline Ellison, and the employees have questions. They know that things are not going well. And according to the recording that was played in court, this is what Ellison said. And let me back up and say, Drappy said that Ellison was kind of slouched in this meeting and did not display confident body language. And that right there is a sign that your con is not going well, because part of a good confidence game is exuding confidence, and slouching, looking drunk. That's not good. So she has this meeting, and this is what she said. Alameda borrowed a bunch of money. Now, that's from FTX. Crypto prices fell, and FTX had a shortfall of user funds. And then the users started withdrawing their funds, and they realized they would not be able to, FTX realized they would not be able to continue. Now, in a regular, normal, legal business, these two first sentences would not be related to each other. Alameda borrowed a bunch of money. Great. That's great. Businesses borrow money. I'm all for it, okay? That's leverage. Next sentence. FTX had a shortfall of user funds. Those sentences should not be related. They should not be next to each other. What she did not say in the meeting was Alameda stole the money from FTX customers. However, what she did say was Alameda stole the money from the FTX customers. They didn't. FTX willingly gave it to them. FTX stole it for Alameda from the FTX customers. But the conjunction of those two sentences is so incredibly damning for Samuel Bankman-Fried. And that is getting us a lot closer to what I got wrong. And I mean, I got it really, really wrong. Now, there was a whole bunch more from Ellison. I don't necessarily have time to get it into this video, but I want to cover a couple of other things, okay? She, like Wong, does not yet know what her sentence is going to be. So she's doing everything she can to line up for the prosecutor. And it would be the time to beat her up as a witness if you are SBF's defense attorneys, but they really haven't tried to do that. And that, to me, is just kind of weird. Third and final witness before we get to my horrible, terrible, laughable mistake is NAD Singh. NAD Singh was the former FTX engineering chief, okay? So he's a guy who's going to report to the CEO on that C level. He's going to be on the leadership of the group. He's responsible for what the code looks like. Now, this is computer engineering. This is programming. This is not like the engineer of a train or how to build a building, but I think you know that. Singh testified that he thought that FTX's assets were greater than its liabilities for a long, long time. Until Wong told him that Alameda, when this is where I get to the 11-digit number. That's a lot of digits. Wow. The Alameda was into FTX for $13 billion in June of 2022. Singh says he learned that from Wong, and he was kind of freaking out. And he asked for a meeting with SBF. They ended up meeting on the roof of a building in the Bahamas. I would like to have a meeting on the roof of a building in the Bahamas, but I haven't. But I wouldn't want to be a part of this meeting because this is the type of meeting where everyone who's there ends up in jail, kind of, eventually. He says, I told SBF, Caroline, that's Ellison, is really freaked out about the NAV situation. NAV means net asset value, or assets minus liabilities. So Bankman-Fried says, I'm not sure what there is to worry about. The NAV is super positive. So because NAV is a mathematical formula, super positive could refer to a positive integer, like the ones to the right of the zero, or it could mean something happy. The NAV is super positive. In this instance, it was neither. Just to be clear, Singh had a couple of these meetings with Bankman-Fried, and he resigned, I think, hours after the second one. But Bankman-Fried told him that he could deliver $5 billion of cash in very short order and substantially more in the weeks to come. He's talking about raising money from investors in FTX to plug the hole that exists because of the money they stole from customers to put into Alameda. Look, a lot of this is super complicated if you try to get down into the nitty-gritty of it, or you're thinking about code, or you wonder how did people pull this off, and how are all these computer programs and spreadsheets related to each other. But it's actually very simple. And I'll tell you how simple it is. And now I'm ready to tell you what I got wrong. Here's how simple it is. I thought that when this stuff came down the pike, that the U.S. attorney would go to Bankman-Fried and say, look, we've got you for 112 years if we max you out. We're going to give you the chance to plead guilty and take 30 years, 20 years. Now, I had a very, very smart, I would even say wily guest on my channel who said he thought it would be even less than that. I couldn't have been more wrong. They have not offered SBF a single plea to any charge of any kind. They are taking him the distance. They are not looking for a concession from him. They want to knock him out. And I'm telling you, the reason that I thought that they would take the plea deal was that this type of stuff is complicated. It's hard for a jury to understand. There have been reports of some of the jurors falling asleep. There's basically almost a day when they were just talking about coding, which, snoozer. But the reality is the prosecutor feels, the U.S. attorney who's prosecuting the case, feels so strongly that they're going to get a conviction, probably across the board, that they have not entertained a plea deal. So there, I was wrong. I thought he was going to go for 20 to 30 years, do most of it, get out a little early, whatever. And that has not been how it has happened. Now, I have a theory as to why. I've already told you that the cases are complicated, but I believe the U.S. attorney thinks that they have a runway, a open roadway to convince a bunch of normal U.S. citizens of how obviously this was fraudulent. I mean, they've got so many documents and so many records and such helpful testimony from the other insiders. But I think that part of the reason has to be related to the fact that Bankman-Fried donated so much money to politicians. And at a time when the Department of Justice has had its integrity called into question by its foray into politics, I don't know how else to say it, and I'm not judging them for doing it. Look, they're getting dragged into politics basically on both sides of things. But the Department of Justice has been dragged into politics in a way that they're trying to burnish their image a little bit. And I mean, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but basically they don't want to take a guy who gave dozens and dozens of dollars, just kidding, dozens and dozens of millions of dollars to politicians, mostly on the side of Democrats who are, as you know, running the Department of Justice right now, and then say, well, let's give this guy a plea deal. Whew. So he's kind of in the wrong place, wrong time, which is ironic because, from 2017 to 2022, he was kind of in the right place at the right time in terms of riding the wave of cryptocurrency to an unbelievable degree of financial success. And I cannot believe I've gone this far in the video without asking you to subscribe. And I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I'm going to tell you should subscribe. That's legal advice. I want you to join the team. If you've stayed this long, you obviously want to spend time together. I'm glad that you're here. Before you go, though, you've hit the subscribe button. I'd like you to hit the like button. I'm hitting the like button for you hitting the like button. Would you please get down in the comments and tell me what I've messed up or what you disagree with. Feel free to roast me, okay? That's it, friends. I will be back in a couple of days. I will see you real soon. Bye. You going to stop the video at some point?